What's up, folks? What's up, folks? We're starting here with the video into the pre-game playing starting off. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a pretty nice London session, a pretty nice Tuesday, pretty nice Monday, pretty nice start into that week, as it's the last week, the fourth week of March. So we should have some opportunities still left to go. As I do think the week has already started. We had not pretty nice opportunity. I'm joking, guys. So let's speak normal English, so because everyone can understand that. I personally do think that this week, for now, price hasn't given me any nice opportunities to capitalize on. I do think on Monday this London session was a bit iffy. If price would have opened here, if the time window would have opened here, inducing that internal medium inducement, still being in that pretty nice bullish block, which is a PI. We can confirm that bullish block and the PI, since it absorbed supply at that point of time. After absorbing supply, we had an inducement, that's being the second confirmation requirement for us to validate a nice PI. After that, price had pretty nice depth in pullback and depth in duration. So after that follow through breaking internally structure and being able to break that internal structure, I definitely validate that PI as reactionable and definitely from understand that price can reject from there. This is why I thought about buying here, having a pretty nice reversal buy cycle, but we do see where the time window opened. The time window didn't open very well. So this was the reason why we've built up liquidity, and after that pretty nice, which we can see. I do think from that point of time price in GU induced higher at 50%, mitigating into a supply, while EU was respecting that inducement supply area, which is internally pretty nice, looking nice. From that rejection, price pushed lower, had that internal medium inducement, fulfilling. Personally, I do think price fulfilled already its purpose, since we had the build up, inducement and mitigation into a supply to demand, which again took liquidity after absorbing that supply and reacting from it. So I think it's still a buyer sensitivity area. All thought we had broken that pretty nice decisional demand, which was the last pullback before breaking that internal high. I do think that this candle was also looking pretty nicely, due to the fact that it's a covered by liquidity firstly, and second of all it's a supply to demand. So a reaction, especially after such build-up, was expected. And we do see as well the price confirmed that bullishness after breaking higher. We have tested immediately lower that bullish block which we're having here. After that test, after price consumed the orders, which you can see here, we immediately pushed higher, breaking secondly higher into that supply area which we're having here, which personally I think can be a smart money trap. I personally think it can be a smart money trap due to the fact that, first of all, looking into the weekly, we are having, after the major inducement, the break of that last higher low, which has been our daily bullish push. After the break, we have, after the major inducement and mitigation, into a buyer sensitivity candle area, which is pretty nice confirmed, as it's having a buildup of liquidity, it's having a nice deep pullback, a inducement, which is a pretty accurate requirement for me to validate API, and the most important thing, depth in duration and a follow through to the upside, breaking the last high. So seeing that, I'm definitely aware of the fact that price can react on the higher time frame from that buyer sensitivity candle area, as price did so already. But we do see currently we had fulfilled lower, fulfilled higher, breaking and inducing high. So we are currently more so indecisive on the weekly candle, which we can see here already. Sitting on Tuesday, it's pretty indecision. There is possibility after reacting from that higher time frame demand and seeing the signs of this supply PI being potentially a smart money trap, because we can see that we had, after the push higher into that gray zone, into that supply, which is being pretty nice bearish objective and bearish block, having that break and test liquidity below, which has tested orders. Price had that inducement into that mitigation and had pretty slow momentum, a build up, inducement towards the downside with a mitigation into a pretty strong demand area, causing such momentum towards the upside, and a second break after the first reaction from the PI. It's confirming me that that supply area could potentially be a smart money trap. And also therefore I do think on the weekly it makes a lot of sense to potentially push higher and react from that demand, um, to complete the inefficiencies in here. So there is a possibility to get into the inefficiencies from where we can get cycles towards the upside, which can lead into a follow through to the downside, continuing the retracement which we have started on the higher time frame, being after that build up inducement of previous week's highs into that monthly extreme mitigation with the break and test, which has tested that bearish block already. So pretty nice objective in price, which we can also confirm as price led to a rejection to the downside, breaking internally on the higher time frame structure to the downside. I do think after we complete any cycle or fulfill inefficiencies to the upside, a continuation into the retracement can be continued, um, into deeper areas, such structure relevant ones as these ones which we have talked already about, from where we can have cycles and create higher highs potentially. But for now I do think that we are more so indecisive, as we already can see on the weekly. um, Daily we have already discussed. Coming back to our current market state, I do think since price had that build up and inducement into the mitigation, confirming and testing at bullish block, continuing higher is more so confirming the bullishness. After we had that mitigation, that further mitigation into that bearish block which we're having here, price is reacting from it. It's true that it's failing to create a high and more so pushing low with two bearish legs of M15 structure. Um, Also, which we can see here is that in London or before London, price has fulfilled that extreme IFC, which caused a push lower pretty nicely. But in general, which we can confirm is that price is having pretty slow momentum from that supply PI mitigation, further mitigation. So I would like to buy still, as I already think that this supply can be confirmed as a smart money trap. I'm not saying it's gonna break, I'm just saying I do think it can be a smart money trap, and therefore any inducement low can give me, any medium inducement low can give me potential buys towards this objective, expecting and projecting the daily candle to close and expand towards the upside. But the problem here is that after we had that break, price tested pretty low into that bullish leg, the bullish block, which means that the price needs to induce that break and test liquidity, mitigating into that extreme PI for me to trade buys and continue higher. Do I think price is gonna come there in New York? No, I do not think price is gonna come there to New York, but it's a potential, or pretty, I would say pretty. If price continues that build up and really building up liquidity, I'm gonna trade for sure here buys. Definitely a more probable setup to take for me. But before we do not break that break and test, I'm not a fan of buying right now, actually, because the build up and the slow momentum is not enough for me to buy. I do think also after mitigating that IFC, H4 IFC, we came into Asia lowest smart money trap. We had that mitigation, build up, inducement, and a follow through lower. Still pretty slow momentum, but anyway. So, um, which means that this potentially, since I'm expecting, what you need to take in consideration is, in from structure cycle wise, three important things. Our last internal bullish push from that higher low to that higher high. Now after having the main push, we know after creating a high price can retrace towards the downside into important PIs. We know which PIs are important already. It's being the structure relevant ones, the decisional extreme. We do see we do not have a decisional here, as price broke that high immediately, that last high, but we have a pretty nice extreme demand which already has been tested, so also a liquidity objective. In that sense, if we created higher high, we need 2 M15 bearish legs of structure to confirm the complex pullback. And the complex pullback is gonna be towards the efficiency of the pullback. The efficiency of the pullback is being the structure relevant PI from where price can create a new higher high, a new main leg, and a new main push. And therefore, as we do see that after that higher high, price created 2 bearish M15 legs of structure, this led into a continuation and initiation of a complex pullback. So seeing this demand is an internal demand, it's not a structure relevant, and we do expect price to come here to create a higher low and then a higher high. I do think that this is more so a reactionable POI, so I'm gonna more so draw it as a smart money trap. I wouldn't sell due to that low momentum here, but what you could do potentially is sell after such inducement towards the upside into potential inducement supply IFC, which you're having here, which took liquidity to the upside and had a follow through lower. So we do see the chain of inducements taking over control, but again, it's pretty slow momentum. It's nothing high. This selling from here is nothing high probable. It's gonna be a more so a continuation model, if not more so market mechanical trade, which you can take, but it's not a real model. So I would definitely not recommend you taking that. If you do want to be aggressive, you can, but take in consideration that it's Tuesday, so you have still 3 days left. You do not need to chase anything, as you do see that we're starting more so range and price doesn't know where to go. And buying, I already told you where we can buy. We can buy after price mitigating that objective. This is gonna be beautiful, but price is not gonna do that this session, I think. So for upcoming days, after we continue that build up, and if we continue the build up, buys here are gonna be high probable to take. Yeah, this is my thought process. I'm gonna look into the session potentially if we can hold the liquidity, break higher, induce that break and test into that supply mitigation, having maybe a divergence with GU, we can maybe potentially have sells from here. This is something which could happen. That's it, guys. More than that, the session is nothing interesting. So yeah, stay patient. I'm gonna tell you when the high probable setups will come, and you're gonna execute them, and I'm gonna execute them as well, and you will see we're gonna bank profits like that, lightweight.